Our rules are simple, but the challenge is great. No shoulder pets, tames that can be carried, or typical boss dinos allowed. That means no Rexes, Therazinos, or any other dinos people normally use in these fights. Equipped with official server cap saddles, our 19 contenders will be backed by the commanding presence of a loyal Yutyrannus, providing that extra boost. All competitors will go into battle with food to provide a healing effect. Herbivores will have plenty of sweet veggie cakes, and carnivores and omnivores will have cooked meat. It's important to note that the tames in this series aren't typically used during boss battles because of the amount of mutations you need to make them competitive. But all the dinos competing will have around 23,000 health and 1200% melee. This will give them all a fair shot at defeating one of the guardians. It won't always be feasible to reach these stats depending on the dinos I'm using, but I'll let you know the amount of mutations and levels it took in order to reach it. All competitors start out with 50 base health and melee and 40 points in everything else before I apply mutations and experience levels. You can decide on your own servers if the juice is worth the squeeze. Competitors are required to fight the Megapithecus, Broodmother, then Dragon on all difficulties starting with Gamma, then Beta, finishing with Alpha. Their success will be annotated on this scorecard with a pass-or-fail system. Clearing all the bosses earns them a gold boom medal. Silver is awarded for clearing Beta, bronze is for clearing Gamma, and the chunk of poop is for an unworthy performance. Once all vanilla island creatures are finished, the gold medal winners will test their strength against the Overseer for the finale. Now let's introduce our competitor and see if they have what it takes. Yutyrannus. This furry ball of joy is extremely aggressive and can be found in desolate regions on the Ark. The Yuty travels with a pack of Carnos under its command and is an absolute psychopath. It is often found engaged in combat with anything near it and can roar to boost its allies or to scare its enemies. The stats required for this competition will reach with 25 mutations and 40 experience levels. 0 mutations and 11 levels went into health, and 25 mutations and 29 levels went into melee. There are a few new members and patrons, and while I'm still doing the boss battle series, they get to have a fighter with battle paint. Say hello to the Trio of Death. Now let's see if they have what it takes. The green portal was activated, and Commander Yutz is so happy to finally have some friends to take on the Gamma Megapithecus. They're actually his clones with dyed hair, but he doesn't need to know that, so please don't tell him. He's already suffering from crippling depression and PTSD. It should come as no surprise that these guys hit hard, but what some of you are probably worried about, as well as myself, is their attack speed. It isn't great. It's actually pretty atrocious. For the time being though, Gamma Monkey is a piece of cake, and the Yutz Brigade earns their first pass. The Gamma Broodmother is up next, and the Yutz laced up their boots so that they could bury them deep within her big ass. They don't have the same issue fighting the Broodmother as we would normally have with smaller creatures. That is, where they go underneath her, and she hits the ones that are technically behind her with her attack, even though it's to the front. As you know, the Broodmother fight doesn't have much RNG like the Dragon fight, so it's a pure DPS race. Alpha Broods doesn't mess around, so the only concern I have at this point is the Underdog's attack rate. I just don't feel comfortable with their overall DPS, but it's enough to take down the Gamma Broodmother and earn another pass. The Gamma Dragon might be a relatively easy boss, but a bundle of Yuty bugs can't all fight up under his armpits. If you've seen previous episodes, I've had success with parking Commander Yutz up under the dragon's pits while the competitors hit it from the back. There was no way to avoid taking all the fire damage in these fights, so even the Gamma Dragon can be troublesome with your larger creatures. The Fire Breath is going to be your biggest threat in all of the dragon fights. Believe it or not, I actually had to do this fight twice because of poor positioning, and half the squad got burned to death before I could get 10% of his health down, which is kinda crazy to think that this was the Gamma boss and we lost. This time though, it was a piece of cake. That's another pass. Blue portal time means beta time, and the Beta Megapithecus is up next. Honestly, I had no concerns. I think 10 times out of 10, the Ute Scoots win this without breaking a sweat. The Beta Megapithecus is seldomly a problem for most creatures with this much health and melee. But on the rare chance that he makes the team sweat, it certainly wouldn't be the first time. The Under Utes are able to dish out plenty of pain and put the Beta Megapithecus into the ground, earning their fourth pass. The Beta Broodmother is up next, and this fight can typically give some teams a little trouble. She's no slouch, and if you don't surround her quickly and start laying down some pain, then she and her bastard children can easily make you have a bad day. Speaking of bad days, if you haven't had a chance, please go check out my new Scorched Earth series. I'm doing a playthrough on hardcore mode with no flyers, and bad days are going to be pretty frequent. The Under Utes do a solid job holding their own in this fight, but the Beta Broodmother hits pretty hard. Unfortunately, we lose one of our Trio of Death in this fight. Rest in peace, Free Range Story. The Under Utes lose a few of their numbers in this fight, but in the end, they're victorious and earn another pass. The Beta Dragon can be difficult, and would you believe it, I actually ran into a few spots during this fight where the Yutyrannus won't attack the dragon, just like we saw with smaller creatures. It seems to just be a terrible bug all around, and I'm curious if it's the same on ASE. I never had the opportunity to look as closely to the boss fights as I have been able to during this series, so who knows? It might be worth taking a look. The Underdog take a lot of fire shots in this fight, which was pretty expected. During the Gamma Dragon fight, he didn't take off once, but we had to handle 3 different occasions during this Beta Dragon fight where he took off and landed only to smother us with flames. The Underdogs do an overall solid job at outpacing the Beta Dragon's damage, and they take him down, earning their 6th pass and clearing the Beta stage. The red portal was up and Commander Utes and the Underdogs faced the Colossal Brute. The Alpha Megapithecus was here, but the Utes were resolute. They stood firm in their boots and dug deep into their primal roots to unleash a rage so absolute. The apes surrounded the Utes. They blocked all the roots, but shoot, that's not a problem for this pursuit, because Commander Utes don't mess around. He was here to refute the Alpha Megapithecus' attributes. Now stand up and render your salute to the Underdog in the comments, because they are the champions, without dispute. That's another pass. The Alpha Broodmother is up next, and I promised I wouldn't talk about it, and she's going to be angry with me, but I need to tell someone. Do you remember that Dodo Wing restaurant that we went to on our first date? Well, they closed down because the owner and staff ascended and moved on over to Scorched Earth, and well, I forgot about it and promised her that I'd take her to get a 2,000 piece with some biscuits. So we get to the restaurant, and when she finds out that no one's there, she busts through the wall and heads to the kitchen. The generator was off, and I'm sure it hasn't had power for weeks, and she finds barrels upon barrels of old Dodo Wings. It smelled rancid. She didn't care. She said, "Bitch, I'm hungry," and horked it all down, and then slapped me on my ass. We went to go back to my place, and then we heard it. The rumble. A deep rumble. She said, "Baby, my guts are all mixed up," and I said, "How? I haven't been up in there today." And she slapped me and let out a chuckle, and right when she did, she shit all over the beach and passed out. The whole night was ruined. Anyway, am I the asshole for leaving her on the beach and going to eat ice cream on my own? I think not. And unfortunately, the Alpha Broodmother took down the Underdog and handed them a fail. The Alpha Dragon is up next, and if you paid attention during the Beta Dragon fight, we did win, but we lost quite a bit in the process. We've beaten the Alpha Dragon so many times in the past with smaller creatures that have no right to be able to beat him. It may have skewed my confidence a bit. I felt confident going into this even though we lost a good chunk of the Ute Scoot squad in the last time we fought. The Fire Breath is no joke. You have to avoid it if possible. I've said it before, but just in case you're new here, if I lose a fight, I redo it at least once just in case I made a mistake or RNG wasn't kind to us. I did this fight 3 times, and each one ended the same way, but the one you're seeing here had the most success. The Yutyrannus just attacks too damn slow. Now, don't let this dissuade you. Remember, the mutations and levels that I used. You can easily come into this fight with 40 more levels because I only pumped 40 experience levels into them. The Yutyrannus is a viable option for the boss fights, so keep that in mind. For this contest though, it ain't gonna cut it, and they earn a fail. Heading over to the scoreboard, the Underdog are in a solid silver boom medal. If you didn't see, I changed the intro around a bit to explain the medal, so check that out. I'm pretty excited for this new chapter on the channel. I've begun my new series on Scorched Earth where I'm doing a no flyers playthrough on hardcore mode. Your feedback is invaluable and I love to see it, so feel free to hit me up and let me know what I can do to improve. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you're new, consider subscribing to help this community grow. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.